Hi everyone. Back a little sooner than I expected. Travelling between corners is getting sketchier, and for the moment, I'm stuck a long way from where I'm supposed to be. And to top that off, I'm currently dealing with a long-term war of attrition with what I believe is a sentient mass of medical waste. Backup is 2 days out, so I thought now was a good time as any to help out. It's nice to see so many people taking my advice, but one guy stood out to me. Andrew, I know the good money is on you screwing with me, but on the off chance you are in anything like the situation you describe, time is of the essence. For those of you that stay out of the comments, Andy was having issues with what may be a ghost train and a time loop. Being stuck in the middle of something like that is about as fun as a fucking vasectomy, I know. So let me help out as much as I can. Your situation boils down to 3 options. 1. You are being screwed with, for real, by a single entity. 2. You are being mind controlled by a single entity. 3. You are actually on a ghost train, doomed to repeat its eternal last ride. I'm going to say it right now. It's probably not 3. There's a saying, popular among members of my organisation. It's never a ghost. Not really witty, or catchy, but pretty true. The phrase is meant to convey the fact that even loosely calling certain entities ghosts is a misnomer. Remember, if it's common law, you might have a similarity or two to the real spooky shit, but that's it. And those entities, well, they don't usually go around causing shit. That being said, let's go through all the options. 1. You are being screwed with, for real, by a single entity. This can come in quite a few different forms. Maybe it's a malignant trying to torture you. Do you like trains? Really hates them. Shit-talked ghost scary factor. They have all kinds of weird reasons to do what they do. Maybe the train itself is an entity. Some kind of eldritch thing. The list goes on and on. The headline here is, one thing is attacking you. Sentient vehicles are pretty common. 2 types I've encountered are all AI based and biological. Not really any indication of tech here, so let's talk biological. If that's what you're dealing with, you literally are in the belly of the beast. You may be seeing hazy outlines of frontier folk on a steam engine or whatever, but that's like the bulb on an anglerfish. Don't let it distract you. From the outside, anyone that cares to look would see a bulbous thing covered in scabrous chitin and bone, black and dripping greasy bile onto the tracks. If you are lucky, you are some ways away from its den. Optimally, you want to end this before you get off the tracks. There is going to be a big mystery on the train, with a plot designed to suck you in, to make you feel like a fucking member of the Scooby-Doo gang, until suddenly you are being bathed with boiling digestive juices as spiked tendrils spring from the walls and tear out your soft parts. Remember when I talked about being prepared a while back? Remember when I said you were unlikely to do it? If I was wrong, this next part is going to be a lot easier. But let's be honest, you didn't listen to me, or you probably wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. You want to find a few different ways of doing damage. This isn't some fantasy hardlight illusion you are in. This thing is a genius, the likes of which the world hasn't seen, and its guts are essentially the world's most advanced 3D printer. Everything in there is real. Maybe transparent, but that gun is still going to fire. Oil is still going to burn. Dynamite will still explode. Reason being, these things copy what they eat. They tend to stick to certain areas and don't like to feed that often. Probably why everything looks a minimum of a couple of decades old. Or you are seeing a lot of mismatched shit, if you are in the runt of the litter who can't hunt. What's going for you? You are inside the bastard. Know that, and are pissed off. What's going against you? every fucking thing else. Don't go guns blazing. Anything that looks sentient, people, shadow kids and other civilians trapped with you, these are like white blood cells. The second you start tearing things up, you've made it known you're a virus. Make a plan and try to hit as much as possible. Break windows, light shit on fire, rip the seat cushions with your teeth if you have to. Just fuck this place and anything else that tries to stop you up as hard and fast as you can. Pull off a significant amount of property destruction and you have about a 20% chance of it deciding the resources are not worth the effort and vomiting you out beside the tracks. Why wouldn't I just cut my way out? Asks the dickhead in the back row. I'll tell you why, hypothetical dickhead. Ever tried to puke while running? Nothing does that. And you want a nice, gentle 10-foot fall with a broken ankle at the end, not turning into a red smear. Now the other option we discussed is an entity creating a complex illusion. Don't worry about why. All you need to know is, one of the passengers is that entity. These cocky assholes have an infinite number of petty reasons to torture you, but they don't have much range. And they love giving a little clue just to be a knob about it. One is going to stand out. I can't tell you exactly how. Might be something as obvious as a cyclops eye, or could be as esoteric as blinking a little faster or slower than the rest. Everything here is an illusion. You can trust in nothing you didn't bring with you, or isn't attached to you. The only saving grace for you is that usually, not always, the types of things that pull stunts like this are not hulking behemoths of muscle and claw. Likely, you will be able to kill it as easy as a person of equal size, assuming you are quick enough to get it before it uses reality bending to squash you like a bug. What does that mean for your chances? I honestly can't even guess a number. However confident you are that you could kill a person before they could think of a funny way for you to die, I guess. 2. You are being mind controlled by a single entity. If that's the case, sadly, you're not going to get this. You are in a dark warehouse, or sewer, or something. 95% of the time though, this is a terrible little thing called a lawkeeper. And while if that is the case, Andy is fucked. Here is some information that might help others. Ever hear of a legend, myth, or maybe even a character from a scary story on the internet that no one really knows where it began? These guys are where it began. Before I explain, let me describe the little pricks. They stand about 4 feet tall, and at a distance look like a child's skeleton with a slightly enlarged head. Upon closer inspection though, the creature does have a very thin layer of flesh and muscle. Their eyes are black, dark enough to stop light-based weapons and take up the majority of the top of their skulls. They can dazzle an individual via a series of body movements. No idea how they pull this off, but they start to dance, and before you have time to register that you're staring, it's taking your comatose ass off to its den. Tips on stopping this before it starts. Avoid graveyards, churches, and hospitals alone at night. These things love bad vibes. If you are face to face, you can look briefly, but each time you do is going to drag you a little further into unconsciousness. You have about 15 seconds max. This effect stops 5 feet away. If you see one, you can't be a pussy. Charge in. It's got 4 wicked little sets of claws, but it's not going to try and avoid killing you, and those claws are pathetic weapons compared to its hypnosis bullshit. Fight tips. Remember all that stuff I said about entities in worlds 1 to 4? Reverse the roles. Squash, crush, tear, and scare this thing. Don't stop till it's a sack of wet gravel that's stopped moving. But if you've been caught, that's more complicated. What they do is control your mind, dredge up your greatest fears, and put you through mental hell so real, your body will tear open if you are cut. And here's where it gets really fucked up. If you succeed in surmounting the hell you have been put through, if it wasn't obvious real-world rules apply. Ironically, this makes braver folk much worse off. It gets a special kind of mojo. It uses this, and somewhere out there is suddenly a legend starting to spread. Not an actual creature, just the legend. It'll usually be in some mundane form, Reddit post maybe. But within all that code displaying the characters on the screen, there is a little kick of something unexplained, and it makes sure you remember that story. Why? Who the fuck knows? Best theory our guys have is that once upon a time, these things helped people. Made them stronger by sending them through horrible shit and letting them get out the other side. But somewhere along the way, they became twisted, evil little bastards and turned this into a torture method. A piece of evidence for my theory is that if you survive the mental gamut, you awake in a daze. At this point, it will promptly slice your important parts before you get your bearings. This is your only chance. All of that knowledge you gained in that hell of your own making, you still have it, and always will. You are going to feel like the first 5 seconds of a 2-bottle hangover, but you can do this. It's going to be in front of you, just inside the reach of its dance. It will have a few seconds to get ready, but just charge straight in. You are going to be too out of it to throw any kind of blow right away. Bull rush the impish little dick, and if you can, grab a hold of as many limbs as you can. Take the fight to the ground. Don't give it the little bit of reach it needs for its claws. Needless to say, any wrestling or similar experience will be a major asset. If you can keep from bleeding out for the next minute or so, you will have enough sense to mount a real offence. Assuming you don't notice most of your blood is on the floor, you've won as soon as you break a limb. They are the worst things I've met at dealing with pain. 3. You are actually on a ghost train, doomed to repeat its eternal last ride. I guess it kind of happens. You don't have time for a semester's long class on why you are wrong about ghosts, so I'm going to trim a whole lot of fat here to get you information you can use. They are not souls, spirits, or anything religious. They can be a few things, but the closest to ghosts would be a simulacrum created by a build-up of emotion. I know, that's lab rat speak. I'll break it down. Something shitty enough happens that the leftover emotion essentially creates life. They have intellect, but only enough knowledge to keep the simulation playing out. It isn't someone's soul or their memories. That is a unique creature, born into a universe of that event, that it will keep repeating. That's its sunrise and sunset. It's probably one of the more tragic entities out there. Hell, even the train itself likely has just a little bit of a mind, just enough to realise it was born for torment, likely. So that makes what you are going to need to do that much worse. Let's go over how you are going to do it first. Kinda ease you into it. The ethereal being is almost right. You can affect any ghost with a punch, let's say. Its effect is just so negligible that it doesn't even notice. Not very much of it actually exists. There are a few common, plenty of uncommon. But if you carried things like a used bullet from an execution, you wouldn't be in this situation. Things that allow you to affect them more easily. Apply these things, in combination if you can. A good 2 or 3 will get you a force of like 40% or so. 1. Anything that isn't a weapon, that has drawn blood. 2. Powdered spices over 1 million Scoville. 3. Lard or fat. 4. Any shade of red makeup. 5. Human or animal ashes. 6. Hair. 7. Coins made from 1930 to 1940. 8. Any object from 1993. You don't have to fight if that's what you are thinking. It's worse. You need to create an event worse than the event that is going on. Yes, that is a subjective term. No, I don't know who is judging it. You need to beat, torture, harm, offend, dismay, whatever you can do. Don't let morals come into play, or the fact they are really limited in their ways of fighting back stop you. Once this train crashes, your ass is in the seat next to theirs. It's not time to be a hero. If you can create a massacre worse than that train wreck, you are walking away. But don't think you are coming out unharmed. If you are even a halfway decent person, this shit is going to change you. Remember, these are essentially innocent, almost infantile beings with true feelings, emotions and pain. And don't think you can assuage your guilt with ending their torment. You didn't, and you can't. They will be trapped in that loop with a new being that looks and sounds like you, born only knowing it needs to kill them as badly as it can. And the next poor fuck who gets caught in it, he's going to have to top you. Hope I helped, Andrew. Hope you never need my advice again. But if you do, feel free to ask. Andrew McCray.